Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skyazrael.com if you want life coaching and mentoring. So you're single, you're lonely, and you feel like that if you could only have that perfect girl, that perfect mate, then life would be okay. Maybe life would feel like it was more worth living. Maybe things would finally work out for you. Maybe that success that you chase would finally happen. You know, a good king always needs a good queen behind him. You know, a successful man always has a strong woman behind him. There's those sayings, and a lot of people believe that their life is waiting for them. And if they could only have the right person by their side, they could achieve it. But without it, without that right person, without that companion, Romeo doesn't have his Juliet, then he just feels lost. End up spending a lot of time at the bar, sitting there just wasting your life away. Maybe you just spend a lot of time playing video games in a catatonic state, wishing for an outcome but never actually doing anything towards it. Jordan Peterson talks about this topic, about being choosable, about single men who are having a hard time finding love, and that seems to be a common theme in our society. I've gone through some of this myself. And he says rather pointedly, rather sharply in that conversation that if you're not being chosen by women, like just across the board, if women aren't choosing you, they're most likely right. It's not them, it's you. The reason why you're not being chosen by women, why you can't find a woman, why you can't find love, is because maybe you're a low-valued man. Maybe you're not even worth choosing. That's hard to hear. You know, he was saying that, and it's like, geez, even the person that was interviewing him kind of made a comment. I don't know if it was Joe Rogan or who it was that was interviewing him, but said, geez, you know, it's like, God, I mean, we're not worth choosing. Maybe they're right. That just sounds so harsh. But I do life coaching and mentoring. The people that I coach so far have only been men, but I do mentor a couple women. Most of the guys, I think all the guys that I coach are single. But they're not all in the same boat. A couple of them are desperately single, and I know what that's like, and I can sympathize with that. Your desperation is repellent. Women can smell that out, and no woman wants a desperate man. It's tough. You have to actually, even though I know you want to hook up with somebody, you want a relationship, you have to pretend that you don't want one. You have to act like you don't need it. And that gives you a little bit of status, a little bit of power, a little bit of an edge. You have to look at courtship as kind of like a game. There's a little bit of to and fro. There's this dance that you have to play. And it's frustrating to some people, and you just have to learn how it works. It's just the way it is for any species. You see those birds, I forget what they're called, little black birds, and they set up elaborate little dioramas almost. It's like, it's not just a nest. They'll like build a little structure and put flowers out in front of it and little pebbles, and they're doing this for some female bird in order to impress her, and then they go and dance around in this really silly way, and he's got to do it just right. It's all got to be just right. Everything's got to be perfect, and the whole thing is this ritual, and if you don't go through it, you don't get laid, you don't get to procreate, you don't get chosen. And I'm sure it's a pain in the ass, and I'm sure there's birds, if they can think, I don't know what birds think about, but I'm sure that there's some of them that are just like, Jesus Christ, I got to do all this for what, for you? What a pain in the ass, what a joke. She's not even worth it. But those birds they don't play the game, they don't hook up. So you got to play the game. Part of playing the game, if you want to be choosable, is to pay attention to some basic things. Your hygiene. A lot of guys out there have poor hygiene. They don't really pay attention to it. Part of your hygiene should be your maintenance. If you look disheveled, you may not be choosable. You may have a wonderful personality. You may be an incredibly wonderful person. But who the hell's going to know? First impressions are everything. Anybody who's ever been to a business meeting of any kind knows this. You can roll your eyes at first impressions and be like, I'm not interested in impressions. I'm such an individual, and I don't care what anyone thinks about me. You were broke. You were a poor person. Because CEOs, businessmen, motherfuckers that I deal with, the top brass at Harley, they don't come into meetings looking disheveled. These motherfuckers all have their hair cut. They all smell good, look good. It's part of the game that you got to play if you want to be in business, and everybody knows it. Everyone who's in business knows it. And it's very similar with courtship. And it's not that you just doll yourself up when you're going to go out once a week to the bar or to the club or wherever you think you're going to go and meet women. You maintain a standard. So if you're going out to check your mail, if you're at the grocery store, at the laundromat, you always put yourself together in a certain way. It's why I used to look up to the mob guys. The mob guys always looked a certain way. They always stepped out of the house with a certain vibe to them, a certain image to them, and I always liked that shit. You get some of you motherfuckers that come out of the house wearing Crocs, wearing sweatpants. Disgusting. It's disgusting. So put yourself together right. Doesn't mean you have to be fancy. You may want to give yourself some things to talk about. Women like charismatic, interesting men. There's a lot of guys out there, honestly, and I'm not trying to be mean, there's a lot of guys out there who are just uninteresting people, shallow. They don't really think much. They don't have a lot of charisma. Maybe they're timid. Let yourself go. Just let yourself be you. And don't hold back. I do this, and I rub people the wrong way sometimes. I turn people off sometimes. Because I'm just kind of unabashedly just raw and real. I'm just me. That kind of thing, I'm not saying that I'm super attractive, but being yourself, being raw and real, being genuine is an attractive trait. It's also a trait of success. People who can be themselves in any situation without holding back are successful people. You want to learn, you want to study, you want to read, you want to be worldly, be a jack of all trades, be able to talk about any topic. There is an aspect of male-female interaction where some women do like a man who is a teacher. Not that they want to be subordinate to a man, but many women like a man who knows stuff. And not that you are so egotistical and you dominate a conversation sitting there talking about all the stuff you know. But if you're one of these types of guys who's just kind of like, I don't know, well, good question, who knows? Well, I don't know. If you're one of those types of guys, you may have a hard time. Have stability, make stability a value. One of the reasons why you create stability in your life in all ways, I could make a whole video of just stability because there's many different areas of it, but create stability because it's good for your own mental health, it's good for your own happiness, it's good for your success. But it also shows women, potential mates, that you are a good lily pad to land on, that you have something. You have yourself a car, a house, a job. You have things. You're not going homeless tomorrow. You're not moving out of town tomorrow. You can pay your bills. You're stable. That's attractive. That's very attractive. Some of you guys aren't really looking at stability as your core values. Still moving from apartment to apartment in your 40s. Settle down. So as you can tell, I'm just kind of going through these mind, body, and soul categories that I'm always trying to promote people to cultivate themselves in. This is how you do it. You cultivate yourself, and you grow yourself. And you do this for yourself, not narcissistically. You do this so you can be the strongest version of yourself, so you can level up. And as you're leveling up, people are going to want to be on that train. This train is bound to glory. This train will carry no backsliders. And people recognize that, and they want to jump on your train. Have a train that's worth jumping on. Thanks for watching.